And in that moment our indicators became locked together. And that's not all.
Meow, meow, meow.
I gave her the eye, and then she gave me the eye. I gave her a little toot on the horn, and she gave me a toot on hers. And that's how it was, an eye for an eye and a toot for a toot.
Meow, 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 meow. Here! What are you two up to? You're meant to be introducing this month's retro roundup before young Kai arrives. Since I can't trust you two to do it, I guess it lies on me then, isn't it? Alright, hello Ladles and Jelly Spoons. Now, whatever happens in the next 15 minutes will certainly be retro. Among those taking part are musical Masario Engage, Mr. B and his ukulele rascals, Kate and Edith Pring.
I say, you can't have your Kate and Edith.
To continue, Dickie from Richard York's Wargaming, where no wargame remains unplayed. And of course, Kohigh Mathy, who prefers to remain anonymous. Ladles and Jelly Spoons, we give you this month's Retro Roundup. Jumpman, a platform game written by Randy Glover and published by Epix. It was the first game developed for the Atari 8-bit family, and versions were also released for the Commodore 64, Apple II and IBM PC. The game received very favourable reviews when it was released and was a major hit for its publisher Automated Solutions. It was so successful that the company renamed itself Epix. Jumpman was published on diskette, but a version of the game with 12 new levels instead of 30 was released on cartridge as Jumpman Jr. This was available for the Atari 8-bit computers, Commodore 64 and ColecoVision. Before we look at the games from February 1993, I have a special message for all our more serious-minded viewers. Click off. Star Fox, also known as Starwing, is a rail shooter video game developed by Nintendo and Argonaut Software and published by Nintendo for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. It is the first game in the Star Fox series, and the story follows Fox McCloud and the rest of the Star Fox team defending their homeworld of Colonial against the invading forces of Andross. Star Fox was the second 3D Nintendo game after X for the Game Boy, but the first Nintendo game to use polygonal graphics, achieved with the Super FX graphics chip included in the cartridge. The complex display of three-dimensional models and polygons was uncommon in console games at the time. Star Wars X-Wing, a space simulation video game based in the Star Wars universe. Star Wars X-Wing is the first title in the X-Wing combat flight simulation game series. The player flies starfighters from the Star Wars universe, including the eponymous X-Wing. Piloting for the Rebel Alliance, the narrative precedes and parallels the events of Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope. Designed by Lawrence Holland and Edward Kirin's Total Games for LucasArts, X-Wing was the first game to use 3D polygon graphics for spaceships and the first non-adventure game to use the iMuse music system. The game was updated and re-released several times and was followed by 3 sequels. X-Wing was the bestseller and received the most critical acclaim. I thought you might like to know that we've had some fan mail. That seems odd. Why won't they just leave a comment in the section down below? Maybe they weren't subscribed to the channel. You know, you can fix that. But I digress. Now, a letter was written in verse, and it says, "Perhaps you would all like to know that I listen to your show. So I thought I would drop you this line to tell you I think it's fine. Well, that's all, and so bye-bye. Yours sincerely, Engage."
stick to music, lad, and we'll stick to retro video games, namely these games from February 1998.
Board game Top Shop, known in Japan as Tenant Wars, is a video board game developed by Kid for the PlayStation and Sega Saturn. Although both releases were published in Japan, only the PlayStation version was issued in North America. The gameplay of Top Shop mimics that of Monopoly, but expands on the property management aspect of the game. As in Monopoly, the players move across the board in accordance to the numbers they roll on a die. They purchase unowned properties when they land on them, and earn money when they reach the bank. Rolling an E on the dice, however, triggers a random event, whilst landing on an elevator space can affect the direction in which the player moves. Tenchu Stealth Assassins, a stealth video game developed by Acquire for the Sony PlayStation, and the debut entry in the Tenchu series. It was published in Japan by Sony Music Entertainment Japan and by Activision in the West. The game follows Rikimaru and Ayame of the Azuma Ninja clan as they complete missions for their Emperor Lord Goda in Sengoku era Japan. The gameplay involves the player guiding their chosen character through missions, the aim being to remain undetected while either avoiding or quickly killing enemies.
And don't forget, if you've not seen it already, our lad Kai played through Tenchu Stealth Assassins a while back. Why not go and give it a watch after this video?
Pat, did I see you drive in this morning in a new car and caravan?
Yeah, lad, you did indeed. You know, a caravan is essential in the big city these days. Well, you know, you need somewhere to live while you look for somewhere to park.
Or indeed, somewhere to check out these games from February 2003.
Ah, you can do that as well, I guess.
Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne, a role-playing video game developed by Atlus for the PlayStation 2. It was published by Atlus in Japan and North America and by Ghostlight in Europe. It is the third numbered entry in the Shin Megami Tensei series, the central series in the Megami Tensei franchise. Multiple versions of the game have been published. The original was published in Japan by Atlus in 2003, whilst a director's cut was released in 2004 in Japan. The director's cut was then localised and released in North America in 2004 as Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne, and in PAL regions in 2005 it was released as Shin Megami Tensei Lucifer's Call. A high-definition remaster was released for the Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4 in Japan in 2020, and was internationally released in 2021 for those consoles and Steam.
Train? What do you mean? Hey, what are you smiling at? Hurry up and get...
Xenosaga Episode 1, The Wills Are Matched, a role-playing video game developed by Monolith Soft and published by Namco for the PlayStation 2. It is the first entry in the Xenosaga trilogy and forms part of the wider Xeno meta-series. Gameplay features exploration of environments through a linear narrative, whilst battles are turn-based combat with the player character fighting both on foot and piloting large mechs, dubbed AGWS. Combat in turn features a system of button combinations for attack types and multiple levelling systems.
Huh? Yeah. I'm just not myself today.
February 2013 now, and a couple of games that aren't retro, but it might surprise you to know that they are 10 years old now.
Well, much like it might surprise you to know that last week I popped along to the Bakers and Confectioners exhibition, a sort of flower show I guess you'd call it. Now, I myself was there to give a speech to the assembled bakers, and I quite unintentionally took the rise out of their bread. So it wasn't surprising that after the end of my speech they all got together and toasted me. Felt a bit browned up about it. But I digress. February 2013.
Dead Space 3, a survival horror action video game developed by Visceral Games and published by Electronic Arts for PC, PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. It is the third and final main entry in the Dead Space series. The game's story follows player character Isaac Clarke and his allies as they explore the frozen planet of Tau Volantis to discover the origins of the growing threat of their enemies, the Necromorphs. Players control Isaac and explore the environment, solve puzzles and find resources whilst fighting necromorphs and hostile humans called unitologists. The game supports online cooperative multiplayer sessions in which a second player takes the role of new character John Carver. It should be pointed out that at the time of recording, the remake of the first Dead Space game has just come out, and you know what? It's alright.
But we don't have much time.
Aliens Colonial Marines, a first-person shooter developed by Gearbox Software and published by Sega for PC, PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. Based on the Alien universe and set shortly after the events of James Cameron's 1986 film Aliens, the game follows a group of Colonial Marines, a fictional military unit, as they confront the Weyland-Yutani Corporation in an effort to rescue survivors from the Silico spaceship. The game features a campaign mode that supports both single-player and cooperative gameplay, and a multiplayer mode in which players compete in different scenarios.
Actual, this is O'Neill.
We've got casualties and several injured over here. We need a corpsman right away for the downed Marines from Rhino 2-1.
Negative 2-1. That explosion jacked the airlock on our end. We cannot use...
I've just realised, none of today's video games feature in Tony Mott's book 1001 Video Games You Must Play Before You Die. Alas lad, no, they don't. So this month Mr. B can rest easy. Or he could spend some time, catching up and try, I don't know, Bioforge from 1995. As always, Ladles and Jelly Spoons, thank you so much for watching. If there was a retro title from years gone by that you know came out in February that we have missed, be sure to let us know in the comment section down below. If you're new to the channel, I hope this video has convinced you to subscribe to the channel. And if you do, make sure that you click the bell so that you never miss an upload from us here at the Orbital Broadcast Bunker, Britain's first and only airborne subterranean studio. Now before we go, please remember that if your significant other asks to drive the family car, don't stand in their way. Cheerio, see you next week.